restaurants can set the amount that they want you to tip.
Be a bad server and expect, 30-40%.
No, I get paid like $2.50 hourly. That goes straight to
Tipping
tax.
culture has gotten so out of hand, and it's at the point now where people try to trick you into giving a bigger tip. I went to a bar last night and I got a canned seltzer, which was $11, by the way, criminal, but all the
Tipping
bartenders...
culture in the United States is honestly a joke. Now, I've been here for nearly 2 days and I cannot believe how expensive the country just generally is.
You shouldn't be a bad server and expect, 30-40%.
No, I get paid like $2.50 hourly. That goes straight to taxes. They tax me on that, so I don't get any of it.
Yeah.
So what I make is literally just what our customers tip.
Bills $100 and they're tipping $25. Like on a normal family that's like works and does stuff, like that's like $25 that they have to cut, like what, 2 hours worth of work to just help pay another person.
Right.
So that's kind of what's hard.
I work retail and I also tip, so I work both. I get paid hourly and I get paid just commission here. And not everybody believes in tipping culture, and so I will put my effort into a table and they won't tip me anything. And
We only tipped them like $5 on a.
which, I mean, if
on
you
that.
did,
It's
like that's still your personal choice because you only spend $30, so you can just tip them 15-18%.
But the internet is.
Yeah.
Servers, that are watching, they'll be like, okay, you should put them more if you're going to do that. If they paid us like minimum wage, like more than minimum wage, say let's 15, 13, whatever, then apparently food prices would go up and then nobody would eat.
If we're happy with the service, we want to tip more.
Right.
I've just had lunch, and I've spoke about this before about the tipping culture out in the States. Like, I used to live here, and the tipping back then was 10% plus. Now it's minimum 18, 20, and above. Just had some lunch, beautiful lunch, really enjoyed it. Server was great. Didn't bend over backwards for me, but always tip if they're polite, friendly. I just think it's just a nice thing to do. But he passed me the card reader and walked off, and I pressed 5 for $5, and then I pressed OK and it put 5 cents. I was too embarrassed to wait around, and I've got no cash on me at the minute, so I thought there's nothing I can do, and I'm gonna look a right cheapskate tipping him 5 bloody cents. So I buggered off. But the tipping culture in the US is getting out of hand. Like, even you go to a place to get a cookie, for example, they pass you the cookie and it says tip or skip. I'm like, fucking skip. All you've done is pass me the damn cookie from the glass cabinet. What you got tipping for? Doing your job. If you get good service, I get it, tip. But if you're passing me a cookie from a glass cabinet, putting it in a bag and telling me to piss off, basically, I'm not tipping you for that. I mean, I'll be polite always, very polite, too polite sometimes. I'm not tipping you for grabbing something and giving it to me. It's madness. Anyway, rant over. Lunch was good, but I felt a bit bad. Have a good day.
Tipping culture in America exists because after the Civil War, white business owners didn't want to pay the wages of freed slaves. And many people don't know this, but it actually gets worse because capitalists today figured out how to weaponize tipping culture to pit the working class against one another. They successfully managed to make many workers who depend on tips to survive put more of the blame on customers instead of the capitalists who are exploiting them. And they successfully managed to get many of the customers to blame the workers for their own exploitation instead of blaming the capitalists who are doing the exploiting. And it's just such a perfect example of how so much of this country is rooted in racism, colonialism, imperialism. So much of it is rooted in profit above all, profit even above human life itself. And all of it is held up by ensuring that we fight one another instead of fighting the people at the top. And once people realize that reality, then things will get better.
Did you know that restaurant workers in the US actually make less than minimum wage? Well, listen up, Buttercup, because it's true. 43 states in the United States actually have a sub-minimum wage, which is a federal minimum wage below the federal minimum wage. Pretty much the entire West Coast is on the federal minimum wage, but the rest of the country has a $2.13 sub-minimum wage. So what does that mean? Basically what it means is servers will make $2.13 an hour without tips. Now, if the tips they get on shift do not hit the federal minimum wage of $7.25, then the restaurant makes up for it. That being the case, if you don't tip, in most states, a server actually has to pay to be at work. Now, what do I mean by that? So here's how restaurants work. There's a tip out at the end of the night. Typically, the servers will have to tip out anywhere from 3 to 5% to the busters, the bartenders, and the hosts. The issue is that tip out is not based off of the server's tips. That tip out is based off of sales. So if a server sold $1,000 in food and liquor that night, they have to give $50 of their money to other people in the restaurant. And that doesn't matter if they made $1 in tips or $1,000 in tips. They still have to give that $50 no matter what. So next time you think about stiffing a server, just remember that they're actually paying to take care of you at their job.
I moved to Australia about a year and a half ago, and I've just been back in the States visiting for about a month now. And these are just some of the things that I didn't realize about the States until coming back. First of all, every single person drives on their phone here. In Australia, people do not go on their phone and drive. I think it's the laws over there are a lot more strict, but like it is so common to see people on their phone when they're driving. You can get in an Uber and go the entire way without buckling. In Australia, every single Uber will not start driving until everybody in the car is buckled. Before I left the United States, I wasn't really afraid of guns that much, but after coming back, yeah, I am now. I remember my parents growing up would always say, like, don't get into road rage because you never know, like, they could literally pull a gun on you. And like I catch myself like being afraid of that now here. When you order a glass of wine in the United States, it's one size fits all. Like you don't get small or large. Like that was one of my favorite things about Australia is like they'd be like, what size glass? Large, obviously. When I first landed in the US, I walked out of the terminal. Everybody is on their computers like, I'm like, guys, settle down. In Australia, I was like, wait, yes, this is how Americans are. It's just like always go, 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 go. When I go to the store and buy something now, I forget that it's like going to be like $1 or $2 more expensive because tax isn't included on the shelf price. I feel so bloated. My skin's breaking out more than ever. Something I do love though is that I'm not constantly checking for spiders. Anytime I sit down in Australia, I would like lift up stuff, just make sure here. I'm like, I catch myself doing that and I'm like, wait, I don't need to worry about that. I could make like 1,000 bajillion of these, so comment if you want more. Mwah.
The issue with the 20% grant is we no longer get customer service. And y'all love to say, oh, you wasn't going to tip anyway. That's why you mad about the 20% grant. Boo, I worked in food service when I was in college. I'm very familiar with the lack of tipping among people, not just black people, people in general. The thing is, y'all get an automatic grant. I asked for a honey mustard. You got an attitude. I asked for a water. A girl brought me a room temperature cup of water. No ice, no nothing. You can't get refills on drinks. Y'all charging 20% grant on the hookah and then additional 20% grant on the food. You're giving out 2 different receipts. Oh, the hookah girl get a 20% grant. You asking the hookah girl for assistance. She got an attitude. She come back 30 minutes later. Y'all only give people a 2-hour time slot. By the time she come back, it's time for us to get up and leave the restaurant. I'm going to tip regardless. But the thing is, with an automatic gratuity, stop acting like y'all want to help us. Because y'all don't. The proof is in the pudding. People on the app are complaining. On every platform are complaining. So if you going to automatically get the 20%, can you just please read my honey mustard without a goddamn attitude? Thank you.
Okay. Can people tell me what tipping culture is now? Because I have forgotten some of the basics. For context, was traveling last year, and a lot of the places I went to did not have tips. So, come back, and I tip my hairdresser, I tip my nail person if I get my nails done. Going strong, haven't got them in a bit. Sometimes I do the coffee if I'm like sticking around, and if I'm paying it to go, not really. But today I got a massage, like an RMT massage through benefits, and I got asked for a tip, and I was like, oh my god, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I obviously didn't have time to Google it, because usually I just like Google this, and I'm like, do I need to tip? Okay, what's the culture? What's up? What are we supposed to do? Do we tip an RMT massage person? What are the people we're tipping? Who are the people we're tipping and not? Like, I just need some advice on what's the protocol, because I forget.
I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this because this is a heated topic for a lot of Americans, but tip is not meant to pay for your wage. Just FYI, tip is meant for service. That's how it was invented. If I go to a restaurant, I get served. Someone brings me the menu. Someone brings me my food. Someone gets me the check. That's when I fucking tip. If I didn't like the fucking service, I don't tip well. If I did like the service, I tip really well. If I, let's say, go to a coffee shop on a counter, I order my coffee and then I have to go back and pick up my fucking coffee, I ain't tipping you. You didn't fucking do shit.
Tipping culture in the United States of Diva America has become insane. Sorry to talk like that. Anyways, tipping culture has become absolutely crazy. And I'm a server, so I can talk about it, and let's discuss. Now, if you sit down at a full-service restaurant and you don't leave a tip, you are a bad person. You are. Oh, but I'm not legally required to tip. You are morally required to tip. But that's not the law, so I don't have to do it. If you are a Christian, you should know you're going to hell. It's gonna open its fucking coals for you. Get you nestled in there deep. Burn you alive. If you do not tip at a full-service restaurant, you are a bad person. That being said, some of the people asking for tips have gone way too far. And even I admit it, as someone who thinks if you don't tip at a full-service restaurant, then you're a bad person. I was just trying to book myself a little massage because I said, oh, ouchie. My upper muscles here are hard as a rock. You knock on the... You hear that? You hear that? So I said, I'm going to book myself a little massage. I've got that extra Christmas time money. People are spending big at the restaurant. I've got a little bit extra cash. I'm going to treat myself to a little massage. Deep tissue, Swedish bra. I go online. I'm looking around the place where I live. I'm looking for affordable. I'm looking for someone with good reviews. I find somewhere in Metairie, Louisiana. Gross. That's one of the burbs of New Orleans, in case you didn't know. She has a little app where you can book. I'm like, fantastic. She's got good reviews. She's affordable. She seems like she's good at her job. I'm going online. I'm trying to book this appointment. I booked the whole appointment. It gets to the end. It says, you must prepay in full. I say, to prepay in full is a little crazy, but I'm on like a safe website where all my payment details are like protected, and it's like full refund, blah, 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 if services are not rendered, blah, blah, blah. I say, oh, okay. Then I click onto the next page. It says, would you like to add a tip? Would I like to add a tip? You haven't done anything yet. I just had to prepay for the whole appointment and you want a tip already? A tip is based on service. Even in my industry, a tip is based on service. You don't get the tip before you've done everything. That's why we're so nice to you guys. That's why someone can be like, can I get 14 more things, but I'm going to ask for them one at a time? And my face goes, yeah. I would love to get that for you. Can I get you anything? Actually, I'm not going to finish the question. Prepay in full and a tip. I'm going to kill you. Prepay in full and add a tip. I'm going to find your parents and tell them that you fucked your ex-girlfriend and they don't even think you are gay. Prepay in full and add a tip. Maybe prepay and add a full on tip to me, sister, for my therapy bill that I will be incurring. Whoa, look at that.
So you're telling me that if you are a waiter and you work by tips, you're gonna sit me down, take my order, not even come one damn time to check on my table, not refill my waters, not refill my drinks, not ask me how everything is, not check on me the whole time we are there, okay? And I'm in the wrong for not wanting to tip you? Let me know if I'm tripping that I don't want to tip you because you're working off of tips. And at the same time, you would think you would kind of give it a little effort to want to earn a tip. I don't need to just leave you a tip just because tipping culture says you have to. I don't have to. I don't have to leave you a tip. At least have customer service for me to want to leave you a tip. Am I the only one that agrees with that? If you are an ass and you're not being really taken care of at a restaurant, you're not going to leave a tip. I don't need to. Am I in the wrong? Let me know.
Apparently restaurants can set the amount that they want you to tip. So take a look at this machine. It says 40%, 50%, 100%. Like, are you for real? Like, most places like 10%, 15%, 20%, and then the custom on the bottom. But I feel like restaurants have gotten like out of control. It even has words like so, good, like a 30 or 40% tip. I mean, that's phenomenal. Most people would say that's absolutely phenomenal. I've heard of so many stories of waiters and waitresses getting mad. Yes, there are some people that might only tip $1 or not tip at all. But to like have this as a norm, 40%, 50%, signs that say if you don't tip at least 25% or 30%, you can't eat out. But what do you think about this? These are literally the buttons already pre-programmed in the machine. I think that's crazy.
In my opinion, I think that removing tipping and increasing the price of like food, etc., would like limit the Americans' like vision of freedom, you know what I'm saying? And also, I feel like Americans prioritize like the way we talk to each other a lot, emotions, stuff like that. That's why tipping and providing like a good service is more important compared to other countries. That's just my opinion. Like in China, and there's so many memes like Hong Kong people and how we just like slap the food on a plate, because the thing is like workers are all paid the same wage, so they literally don't care how customer service friendly it is, because at the end of the day, they go on their phone, they bring you the food, that's their only job. Their job isn't to give you that good experience. It's to bring the food to your table, that's it. That's why they don't care, and in China, you guys don't really tip either. And then, so in America, I feel like we really prioritize like interaction and people feeling like, oh, like coming to a restaurant, I'm expected to have a good experience with server and food. That's why I feel like it wouldn't really work, because people wouldn't want to go out anymore because of the service experience they keep constantly get is very like just dead. That's just my opinion. That's why in French, people just assume like in France, everyone, they don't tip, right? And that's why they always just give you coffee, you know, go on with your day. But I think American just takes it or expects differently. That's why they put gratuity or kind of service tipping. So workers are expected to perform well. That's why, oh yeah, another topic. This is why sales job people, the top performers are the people that go out of their way to try harder, right? I think that's the same thing, because serving is kind of like basically a commission job. The better you like provide the experience for your customer, the better you get tipped, kind of. But that's just me. I just feel like Americans overall prioritize communication and just having good service. That's why that it's there instead of, you know, I don't know. I really don't understand why that's the American culture though, but
I'm sorry, y'all don't have to agree with me. I never gave a fuck. I am not tipping you for some shit that is really not even tippable. That never fucking before the last 3 years, would anyone ever have thought about asking for a tip for. I'm sorry, it's not happening. Service providers are one thing. Okay, tattoo artists, cosmetologists, estheticians, hairdressers, makeup artists, whatever. That's one thing. Okay, servers, delivery drivers, even like sometimes if I'm ordering takeout or I'm picking up a to-go order, expos, because I've served, I've expoed, I've hosted. I get it, sure. Drive-through, no. Fuck no. I'm sorry. Ben & Jerry's just for a fucking scoop of ice cream? No. It's not happen.
Tipping culture has gotten so out of hand, and it's at the point now where people try to trick you into giving a bigger tip. I went to a bar last night and I got a canned seltzer, which was $11 by the way, criminal, but all the bartender had to do was open the fridge and hand me the can. And he wasn't even pleasant about it. He hands me the can and it's just like, cash or card? And I'm like, card. And he's like, open or closed. But when I looked at the card reader to fill in the tip, I did a little double take because this was like a step further than I've ever seen. It used to be 15, 18, 20, then it moved to 18, 20, 25. Now it's like 20, 25, 30. And then they switched it where it would be like 25, 20, 18, like trying to trick your muscle memory. But this time the default options were 50, 30, and 25. And I almost fell for it because like a 5 and a 2 kind of look similar, you know what I mean? But I've never seen it that high before. Like I know it continually increases, but like 50% is kind of crazy. I wonder how many people just like unknowingly tap it and don't even realize. Like I know tipping is important, but to an extent, like you handed me an overpriced can and want 50%, but it happens in different ways all the time now. Like never forget the time where they tried to force me into tipping for tap water. I was like, really?
The tipping culture in the United States is honestly a joke. Now, I've been here for nearly 2 days and I cannot believe how expensive the country just generally is. I went for a coffee this morning and paid for my coffee, and on the screen it said please add your tip. The options were 25%, 35% and 50% with a little custom tab at the bottom. Now people are going to say the service staff are getting paid $2 or $3 an hour. That is not my problem yet. The employer should be responsible for pay. Is that a turtle? Is that an actual turtle? Oh my god, is he stuck? He's stuck. The turtle's actually stuck. What the hell? Oh! Can you move, mate? What is going on here? I actually think the turtle's stuck. Look, he can't move, he's getting scared. Look, he's trying to put his legs out, he can't move. I'm gonna have to push him into the Oh! Oh my god. Get in the water. There he goes. That is honestly the most random thing. The sun, honestly, it's so hot as well. You've got these walking around as well. Loads of swans in the lake. But anyway, going back to the tipping culture. Now, so many people argue the price for the consumer would be increased if that was included in the bill. I disagree. The price would be the same, except you're going to be paying that tip directly to the service staff as opposed to the business itself, which is a very fair point. However, in my opinion, you should only have to tip for service that goes above and beyond. You shouldn't have to tip someone for doing their job of making a coffee. What do you lot think? Is the tipping culture in the United States bizarre? Let me know what you think. Peace.
Right, we've had this concern a few times as Brits coming over to New York, but I've just moved to New York, so I will give you all the tips. So restaurants, normal service 18 to 20%, excellent service 25%. If you go to an independent coffee shop, $1 to $2. If you're getting something delivered, I would say around 10%, no less than $3. If you're at a bar, $1 to $2. If you're getting a beer, just throw them $1. If you're getting a cocktail, $2. Where else? Don't tip in fast food restaurants. Don't tip in chain coffee shops, and definitely do not tip the people on the street.